My wife, Kelly, brought her boyfriend, Jason, home to announce that she was pregnant. It was a web of lies, threats, and betrayal that tore our family apart forever. Without her knowing, I had been recording the entire conversation. Kelly came home with Jason to share the news, but when I mentioned divorce, Jason pulled out and threatened me. Both of them are now facing charges. Kelly, 45, and I, 47, had been married for 22 years. We tied the knot shortly after graduating from college, having met through some mutual friends. She was my first and only serious relationship. While I worked hard building my career in software development, she was a marketing executive. Up until everything fell apart last month, I thought our marriage was solid. We had 2 kids, Mike, 17, a high school junior, and Jenny, 20, a second-year psychology major in college. About 4 months ago, Kelly started going to a new gym, and that's when things began to change. She said she wanted to lose weight before turning 46, and she preferred going on her own to focus on herself. I agreed and even offered to join her. At first, I was glad to see her taking care of herself. She started going more often, sometimes twice a day. I didn't question it because she seemed happier and more energetic. But then things started to shift. She changed her hairstyle, bought a whole new wardrobe, and became glued to her phone. Whenever I walked into the room, she would immediately switch apps or turn the screen off. She also mentioned that her team at work had taken on a major project for a new client, causing her to stay late at the office. There were nights when she wouldn't come home until 9 or 10 p.m. I didn't think much of it because I trusted her completely. I took care of the kids, made sure dinner was ready for her when she got home, and let her focus on her work. But our intimacy dwindled. There were always excuses. She was too tired, had a headache, or had to wake up early. For almost 3 months, we went from being intimate 2 or 3 times a week to not at all. I figured she was stressed from work, so I didn't bring it up. Then, about 3 weeks ago, she sent me a text on Friday night, saying she needed to talk to me about something important. I thought maybe she wanted to discuss our summer vacation plans, or that she had finally gotten the promotion she'd been hoping for. We had the house to ourselves. Mike was at football practice, and Jenny was at her college library. But Kelly didn't come home alone. She was with a tall, strong man, probably in his late 30s. His name was Jason, 39. When she introduced him, she dropped the bombshell. She was 3 months pregnant, and Jason was the father. We sat down in the living room, the same room where we'd celebrated our 20th anniversary just 2 years ago. She explained that they had connected at the gym 8 months ago, and that although she hadn't been happy in our marriage for years, she had never found the courage to speak up. She said I didn't understand her emotional needs because I was always too caught up in my work. Jason, with a smug look on his face, just sat there, occasionally rubbing Kelly's back as if trying to comfort her. She told me that they planned to start a new life together. She'd been spending late nights with him, not at work, but at his place, after meeting at the gym. It wasn't just for exercise. I felt like I was trapped in a bad dream. The woman who had cried happy tears at Jenny's high school graduation, the woman who had nursed me back to health when I had pneumonia 3 years ago, was sitting in my living room, telling me she was pregnant by another man. I told them to leave my house immediately. That's when things took a turn for the worse. Jason stood up, yelling that since Kelly owned half the house, I couldn't kick her out. He told me I had to man up and admit that she had moved on to someone better. I stayed calm and told them again they needed to leave, as I'd be filing for divorce first thing Monday morning. Jason puffed up his chest like some fake tough guy and got right in my face. He told me not to interfere with his woman and their baby, and warned me to watch myself. His tone made me uneasy, so I started recording everything on my phone, hiding it behind a cushion on the couch. I told them once more to get out. That's when Jason pulled out a waistband, pointed it at my chest, and threatened me. He said if I made things difficult for Kelly during the divorce, he would make sure I regretted it. He claimed to know where I worked, where the kids went to school, and that accidents happen all the time. Kelly didn't say a word as this man pointed at a husband of 22 years. Kelly didn't seem at all surprised when Jason pulled out the gun, nor did she try to stop him. Her face was completely blank as she just stared at him. I immediately called the police after they left, and I played the recording for them. Jason was arrested that evening for threatening to commit a crime while armed with a deadly weapon. Kelly was also taken into custody for her involvement in the threat. They were both released on bail the next day. Everything fell apart when the kids saw the police cars outside our house when they came home. When I told Jenny what had happened, she broke down in tears. Mike locked himself in his room for 2 days after punching a hole in the wall. He only came out when I promised him we would get through this together. Both sets of parents have been calling nonstop. Kelly told her parents that I had been emotionally distant and that she felt trapped in our marriage. They think I'm being too harsh and that I should drop the charges because she's pregnant and under stress. On the other hand, my parents are furious and want me to pursue every aspect of the divorce. I filed for divorce the following morning. According to my lawyer, the recording will be very beneficial for both the divorce and criminal cases. Kelly has been calling and texting nonstop, claiming that Jason manipulated her and that she made a terrible mistake. She insists she never intended to hurt me and that she didn't know he was armed. However, the footage shows that she didn't seem scared or surprised when Jason pulled out the gun. I've told her to contact us only through our attorneys and have blocked her number. The kids refuse to speak to her. Jenny says she will never forgive her mother for destroying our family. On top of failing 2 classes, Mike's football coach called to report that he'd gotten into a fight during practice. We lost 22 years of marriage because she couldn't stay faithful. I was looking at our wedding photos last night, remembering how happy and young we were. Now, I have to go to court against her because of the threats. I have no regrets about filing charges. No one pulls on me in my own home. Certainly not in front of the pictures of my kids hanging on the wall. Last week was the hearing for the threat case. My lawyer and I arrived at the courthouse early. Kelly and Jason showed up together, both dressed as though they were going to church. Kelly kept trying to get my attention, but I was focused on my phone. Their attorney, a slick guy in a fancy suit, tried to paint me as an angry, controlling spouse who was threatening to leave Kelly broke and homeless. He claimed that Jason only pulled the gun because he was worried about Kelly's safety. Then my lawyer played the recording. Everything was clear, including Jason's threats to find out where my kids went to school, and most importantly, Kelly's complete silence while her lover went around to threaten her husband. Their faces turned ashen when the evidence was presented. The trial is set for next month, scheduled by a clearly furious judge. In addition to that, she issued a restraining order requiring that they both stay at least 500 feet away from me, my home, and my workplace. I had foolishly thought that would be the biggest change, but I was wrong. Yesterday morning, my doorbell rang, and when I opened it, I found a woman in her mid-30s holding a thick folder. She introduced herself as Jason's wife, Amy, 36. Yes, you read that correctly. Jason is married and has 3 kids, ages 9, 6, and 12. After reading about Jason's arrest in the local paper, Amy learned about Kelly and the pregnancy. She'd been doing her own investigation ever since, and the findings were shocking. She showed me evidence that Jason had done this before. 2 years ago, he met another woman at his previous job, got her pregnant, and then disappeared when she was 7 months along. The mother had to move back in with her parents and raise the child on her own. But it gets worse. Amy had text messages from months ago between Jason and Kelly. They were plotting not only the affair, but also how to manipulate the divorce to get the majority of my assets. They had a full plan in place. The text revealed that they believed Kelly could secure a larger payout if they could provoke me into acting recklessly or violently. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was part of the plan. One message from Jason read, "I'll contribute when we tell him. I'll give him a little scare if he becomes hostile. That way, you'll get everything, and he'll know not to fight the divorce." Kelly replied, "Great plan, sweetie. He'll probably cry because he's such a coward." I sent all of this evidence to the DA's office and my attorney. In addition to the current charges for threats, the DA is now considering conspiracy charges. Once Kelly found out about the new proof, she began calling me nonstop, crying and claiming she didn't know Jason was married. She said he tricked her into going along with the entire plan. However, the texts tell a different story. She was fully aware of his wife and kids. She even made jokes about Amy being too oblivious to notice the affair. While Jenny was going through Kelly's drawer looking for old family photos, she discovered something even more troubling. I didn't know it at the time, but she found a second phone. It had messages from over a year ago. Before revealing their pregnancy, Kelly and Jason had been preparing for this moment for months. They thought I wouldn't fight back as hard if there was a baby involved. They intentionally waited until she was showing before telling me. The effect on our children has been devastating. Mike, aside from going to school, rarely leaves his room. His football coach called to let me know that he's been just sitting in the stands during practices, and he's failing 3 classes. Jenny is constantly upset. She texted Kelly to tell her she was dead to her, and that she never wanted to see her again. Kelly's response? You'll understand when you're older and fall in love. I showed copies of the text messages to Kelly's parents. They came over to my house, horrified. Her father, who had been defending her and begging me to drop the charges, broke down crying. He insisted that he never raised his daughter to be like this. They no longer take her calls either. According to my attorney, Kelly won't receive anything in the divorce because of the new evidence. She will lose out on the property division because of the premeditated nature of their scheme and their conspiracy to scare me. But honestly, I don't care about the money anymore. I just want her out of our lives. The woman in those text messages isn't the person I married. She's a stranger who shared our bed, ate meals with our family, and secretly plotted to destroy me. Yesterday, Jenny asked me if I had ever suspected anything. Honestly, no. I trusted Kelly completely. I never imagined she would betray me like this. Even when she was staying late at work, going to the gym twice a day, and avoiding intimacy, I never once questioned her. After 22 years of marriage, I never asked to check her phone or asked about her late nights. Now, I see that she called me stupid for trusting her and laughed at my faith in her. A lot has happened since the divorce proceedings started. The turns this has taken are almost unbelievable, but I feel like I need to share them. At the beginning of the divorce hearing, Sarah tried to play the victim. Kelly tried to play the victim in court, claiming that Jason had pressured and manipulated her into being part of their plan. In a tearful testimony, her attorney painted her as a vulnerable woman, lonely and stuck in an emotionally distant marriage. She even called a coworker to testify about how she used to cry in the break room, claiming our marriage was falling apart. But after the criminal trial, her act completely fell apart. Jason, facing serious jail time for the gun threat, decided to accept a plea bargain. The DA offered him a restraining order and 2 years of probation, and he took it. Everything changed when he finally came clean in court. During his plea hearing, Jason turned on Kelly. He admitted that she had orchestrated the whole plan from the very beginning. He said she had seen him on social media and recognized him as a successful real estate agent. He testified that she'd even seen photos of his family, so she knew he was married from the start. Jason revealed that Kelly had told him she wanted to leave me because she was unhappy in our marriage, but her main goal was to secure the highest settlement possible. She specifically chose him because he had a concealed carry permit and looked intimidating. She came up with the idea of the gun, believing that if I reacted aggressively, it would make me seem abusive. However, when the paternity test results were revealed in court, it was the biggest shock of all. Jason wasn't the father. But Kelly was undeniably pregnant. The father was her 25-year-old personal trainer, Chad. It turns out she had been having an affair with him at the gym while working with Jason to plan everything. When this information came to light, Jason completely lost it. He started yelling that Kelly had ruined his marriage for nothing. He believed she had planned to divorce me, take half of my assets, and then marry him. He was furious when he found out she had been sleeping with someone else the entire time. Security had to escort him out of the courtroom. Chad was subpoenaed and testified, explaining that he had no idea Kelly was married. She had told him that she was divorced and that her 2 grown children were actually her niece and nephew. In fact, when they were at the gym together, she introduced Mike and Jenny as such. Chad also showed a text message from Kelly inviting him to move in with her after her divorce from her abusive ex-husband. This revelation completely destroyed what little credibility Kelly had left. Her own attorney seemed disgusted by the situation. When the court took a recess, Kelly completely lost control. When we returned, she screamed that everyone was against her and that she was just trying to find happiness. During this time, her career completely collapsed. Her company had conducted a background check for a promotion and discovered the conspiracy and criminal charges. Due to their strict zero-tolerance policy for unethical behavior, they fired her on the spot. The story went viral in our professional network, and she hasn't been able to find another marketing job since. Now, she's unable to afford an apartment and has moved in with her sister. Kelly continued to reach out to the kids, sending long emails filled with regret and asking for their support during her pregnancy. Mike refuses to even acknowledge her. Jenny responded once, saying, "I hope the baby grows up to betray you just like you betrayed us." On the positive side, Mike has started talking to me again. Although he's still struggling with his grades, he's making progress. He's attending therapy twice a week, and I'm hopeful that he'll get through this. We've been focusing on finding healthy ways for Mike to vent his frustrations, especially given the intense emotional toll all of this has taken on him. After F's betrayal, he was filled with so much anger that it became a challenge to find constructive outlets for him to process it all. The therapist has suggested a few strategies, including journaling, physical activity, and even participating in some martial arts classes to channel his aggression into something positive. We've been trying to make sure he doesn't bottle up his feelings, but instead finds ways to release them in controlled and appropriate ways. The therapist believes that his anger issues are normal, given the trauma he's experienced, losing his mother's trust and witnessing everything unravel in front of him. Mike is still working through the idea of forgiveness, but I know he's starting to make progress, especially after joining therapy. The therapist also mentioned that it's common for teens in situations like this to experience a mixture of resentment and guilt. He sometimes feels responsible for the downfall of our family, which I've reassured him repeatedly isn't his fault. No one can truly prepare for the kind of betrayal we've been through, and I know it's hard for him to understand why someone so close to us could cause so much harm. But over time, he started expressing himself better and sharing his thoughts with me. This is progress I never thought I'd see when everything first fell apart. Now that the judge has seen all the evidence, those damning text messages plotting the conspiracy, the paternity test results showing that Jason wasn't the father, and the testimony about Kelly's numerous affairs, the divorce proceedings are moving forward quickly. My lawyer believes it will all be wrapped up in about a month. It feels like a weight is finally lifting off my shoulders as we near the end of this chapter. Kelly is no longer in control of the narrative, and I can see justice being served. The light at the end of the tunnel is finally in sight, though it's been a long and painful road to get here. I got a call from Kelly's sister yesterday. She told me that Kelly is struggling to cope with everything. Despite being pregnant, Kelly has been drinking heavily and complaining about how everyone has failed her when she needs them the most. At first, I almost felt sympathy for her. Pregnancy is tough, and the emotional toll of everything happening in her life right now would be overwhelming for anyone. But then, I remember the texts I read not so long ago. Those messages where Kelly laughed about using Jason's gun to intimidate me. Suddenly, the empathy I almost felt for her vanished. She had been plotting my downfall while manipulating everyone around her. I couldn't feel sorry for her, not when I remember how she mocked me and my trust in her. As much as I tried to be understanding, it was hard to ignore that she created this mess. The mess she created was not just her own life falling apart. It was the lives of our children, my own life, and the relationships we once had. There's no going back from this. Kelly made her choices, and now she has to live with the consequences. It's been difficult, especially when you consider the fact that she's still trying to reach out to the kids, to reconnect, but they want nothing to do with her. I can't blame them. I can't even blame myself for feeling angry when I remember how her lies tore our family apart. I can finally say that my nightmare is over. Last month, the divorce was finalized. The judge awarded me primary custody of Mike and the house. Jenny, as an adult, wasn't a concern for custody, but the judge still made sure to acknowledge her role in the family situation. The division of assets was made clear, and Kelly received only her car and personal items. The judge explained the uneven distribution by referencing the many deceptions Kelly had been involved in, including the conspiracy with Jason. Kelly's entire existence, as she once knew it, has crumbled. The emotional toll of everything caught up with her when complications caused her to lose the baby at 5 months. It was a devastating situation, but one that could have been avoided if she had listened to everyone's warnings. Her sister even admitted to me that Kelly had been drinking excessively during her pregnancy. To this day, Kelly refuses to take full responsibility for any of it. The real father, Chad, the personal trainer Kelly had been involved with, has distanced himself from her entirely. After discovering Kelly's lies and the conspiracy with Jason, Chad left his job at the gym and moved to a different city. I can't say I blame him. He was manipulated into thinking that Kelly was a woman who could offer him a new life, only to realize she was living a web of lies. Now, he's relocated, and as far as I know, he's keeping to himself. He's made it clear that he has no interest in being part of her life anymore. Jason, too, has lost everything. After his divorce from Amy, he was granted full custody of their children. The criminal allegations against him caused him to lose his real estate license, and he ended up relocating to Arizona. From what I've heard, he's now working as a bartender, and he frequently tells everyone he meets how Kelly destroyed his life. It's a bitter irony that Kelly got so wrapped up in her own plan that she didn't consider how it would all come back on her. Last week, Kelly hit rock bottom. She showed up at our house at 2 a.m., completely drunk, and yelled in the driveway that she had lost everything because of one mistake. She insisted that she was going to make things right and return home. Before I could even respond, the neighbors called the police. Kelly was arrested and jailed for 2 days for violating the restraining order. This was the first time in her life that she truly faced repercussions for her actions. Her sister didn't come to her aid, and I'm sure that stung more than she was willing to admit. As for the kids, they're finally starting to improve. Jenny has returned to college and is seeing the campus counselor regularly. She joined a support group for children of divorced parents, and she says it's been helping her process everything that happened. It's not easy, but at least she's trying to move forward. Mike is also starting to show signs of improvement. Although he's still struggling with his grades, he's getting better and has been attending therapy twice a week. He's making progress, and I couldn't be more relieved to see him slowly finding his way again. Mike is back on the football team, and his grades have made a noticeable improvement. He's now maintaining B's and C's, which, given the circumstances, I consider a huge victory. His therapist has told me that he's developed some solid coping strategies, which have drastically helped his anger management issues. When everything first went down, Mike was drowning in his emotions, and the anger seemed like it would consume him. But now, after working through his therapy, he's learned to channel his frustrations more productively. He's been able to talk things through without lashing out, and that's a relief for me. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. Through all of this, Kelly's parents have shown an unexpected level of support. While they've severed all communication with Kelly, they've made it clear that they want to stay involved in the kids' lives. They've stepped in where Kelly hasn't been able to. I never expected it, but their involvement has been a source of comfort for Mike and Jenny. They seem to understand that the children didn't choose any of this, and they've gone out of their way to keep a sense of normalcy for them. Every Sunday, Kelly's mom comes over to prepare dinner for us. I never thought I'd be able to sit at the table and share a meal with her after everything that happened, but she's always been a warm and kind presence in my life. We don't talk about Kelly much, but her mom has been a great support to me, and seeing her bond with Mike and Jenny has made me appreciate her in ways I hadn't before. On weekends, Kelly's dad takes Mike fishing, a tradition they started long before things fell apart. They also work together on repairing the hole Mike punched in his bedroom wall during his angry outbursts. It's been a process for Mike, but having his grandfather help him fix the physical damage feels like a form of healing. I'm glad they still have that connection, despite everything. As for me, I've begun dating someone new. I met Lisa about 3 years ago through a mutual friend. She's a 43-year-old high school teacher who went through her own divorce a few years back. It's still early in our relationship, but we're taking things slow. I think both of us are in a place where we know what we want, but we also understand the importance of building something steady. Lisa actually tutored Mike in English for a while, which helped him bring his grades up. She's been patient with me and the kids, not rushing anything but also proving that she cares by giving us the space we need. The kids met her last month, and they seem to like her. I can't say enough how much I appreciate how considerate she is of our situation. She doesn't ask for more than I'm willing or ready to provide. We're still getting to know each other, but for the first time in months, I feel like there's a sense of possibility. It's not just about romance. It's about finding a way forward, and Lisa seems to understand that. Yesterday, I got a call from Kelly using a new number. She claimed that she'd been going to AA meetings and had been sober for 2 weeks. She asked if I might consider giving her another chance. I'll admit, A part of me was tempted to pick up the phone, to hear her out. But I quickly remembered the countless lies, the betrayal, the pain she caused not just to me, but to the kids as well. I blocked the number and hung up without responding. Some betrayals are simply too deep to recover from. I've worked so hard to build a stable environment for Mike and Jenny, and allowing Kelly back into our lives at this point would only cause more harm than good. We're still healing, but I can see the progress we've made. Jenny has been remarkably strong through it all. Last week, she told me how proud she was of how I handled everything. She said that I stood by her and Mike and refused to let Kelly reestablish control over our family. Jenny has been attending therapy regularly as well, and she's been working through her emotions. I think she's finally beginning to understand the importance of setting boundaries and protecting herself. As for Mike, when he turned 18, he came to me and asked if he could adopt my last name. He said that he no longer wanted to have any relationship with Kelly. It was a big moment. I told him that if that's what he wanted, I would support him 100%. It's his life, and he deserves to feel like he's in control of it. Life isn't flawless. Nothing about it is easy, but we're getting through it. We've been able to find a new normal. Jenny has returned to college and is adjusting to the new reality. She's found support through the campus counselor and has started attending a support group for kids of divorced parents. She says the group has been really helpful in processing everything, and I think it's been good for her to be around others who understand what she's going through. Mike's improvement has been slow but steady. Though he still struggles with his grades, he's doing much better emotionally. His therapist and I have been working closely to make sure he stays on track. As for me, I've had my own moments of doubt, of feeling like I'm not doing enough, or that somehow I'm failing them. But I know I'm doing everything I can. There's no perfect way to navigate this kind of situation. There's no guidebook. Every day presents a new challenge, but I feel like we're building something stronger out of all the wreckage. Kelly has to live with the choices she made. She has to live with the fact that her actions have forever changed the lives of the people who loved her most. I don't regret the way I handled it. Setting boundaries and showing the kids that it's okay to remove toxic people from your life, even if that person is their mother, was one of the hardest things I've ever done as a parent. But it was the right thing to do. I'm genuinely looking forward to the future for the first time in months. I know we still have a long road ahead of us, but for the first time, I can see a future that doesn't feel weighed down by the past. We're creating a new normal, and that's all I can ask for. Do you think I handled the situation with Kelly the right way by cutting her out of our lives and protecting the kids? Or do you think there's merit in giving her another chance for redemption? If you were in my position, would you have allowed her to return after everything she put us through? Or do you believe some betrayals are too deep to forgive? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for being here. Make sure to subscribe to Cheating Storytelling so you don't miss any new stories. And as always, see you in the next video.